Hey everyone, you know how much I love learning about these public health initiatives, especially when they're encouraging healthier eating habits.
Right?
And you shared an article about a California campaign, and honestly, the name alone, Not So Sweet Side,
Yeah.
made me want to learn more.
It's a really interesting one.
It is.
Like,
Come on, let's unpack this.
especially how it's structured to reach specific communities right here in California.
Okay.
We can all learn from their approach no matter where we live.
We know sugary drinks aren't the best for us,
Right.
but this campaign kind of highlights some risks that I think would surprise even the most health-conscious folks.
Absolutely.
For example, they tied into CalFresh, and I usually think of CalFresh as food assistance,
Right.
not these broader health impacts. So what's the connection there?
That connection is crucial, actually. The article brings up type 2 diabetes, heart disease, and even tooth decay, all being major concerns tied to sugary drink consumption. And statistically, these issues disproportionately impact African Americans.
Hmm.
So it's not just about cutting back on sugar, it's about understanding how those choices might be impacting different communities in different ways.
So what makes these particular health risks more pronounced in those communities?
Yeah, you're hitting on a really important point.
Is there more to it than just the sugary drinks themselves?
There are very complex factors at play here, like
Okay.
socioeconomic disparities, access to health care, and systemic issues that create a perfect storm,
Oh,
unfortunately.
wow.
The article doesn't delve deeply into those areas here, but it's vital context to keep in mind. For example, research indicates that African American women who have just 1 to 2 sugary drinks daily significantly increase their risk of developing type 2 diabetes.
See, that's a statistic that would make me stop and think.
Right.
Just 1 to 2 drinks. I think a lot of people could hear that and think, well, that's not me. I only have one soda a day, without realizing the potential long-term consequences.
And that's precisely why this campaign is so crucial.
Right.
It's raising awareness about everyday habits we might not even think twice about and making us more conscious of those choices.
So how do they convince people to make changes? What's their strategy?
They tackle this a few different ways. One of the first things they do is break down the sugar content itself. They have a pediatrician, Dr. Asefa, explain how to read those nutrition labels, which I think many people tend to gloss over.
Now, this part resonated with me
Yeah.
because they actually break down how to read labels like a pro.
Yeah.
I'll admit, sometimes I grab my usuals without a second thought. What kind of things does he point out?
Well, he starts by highlighting how tricky those serving sizes can be. One bottle of something doesn't always equal one serving. I
Yeah.
think we've all fallen for that at some
Oh,
point.
absolutely.
Right.
And then there's the sugar disguise game.
Right.
It's hidden under a million different names on those labels.
Right.
High fructose corn syrup, fruit juice, concentrate all the O's.
Right.
It gets overwhelming.
But the campaign does a great job of simplifying things.
Okay.
For instance, Dr. Asefa compares a juice box, which can have a whopping 40 grams of sugar, to a natural juice option with about 6 grams. That's a huge difference.
That is eye-opening.
It is.
I think we underestimate how much sugar is in things we consider regular drinks.
Right.
It's not always as straightforward as it seems. So this is clearly about more than individual choices,
Right.
right? The campaign touches on how sugary drinks affect entire communities. Tell me more about that.
You're right. It goes beyond the individual. They bring in a dental professional, Dr. Chambers, who emphasizes the strong link between sugary drinks and tooth decay, particularly for Black adolescents.
And I can already see how this ties back to those socioeconomic factors we discussed earlier.
Right.
If access to dental care is already a challenge,
Exactly.
preventing those issues from the start becomes even more important.
Absolutely. That's where those systemic disparities really come into play. And the campaign doesn't shy away from that complexity. They introduce us to Lakeisha Swimmy, a public health advocate who works directly with families facing housing insecurity. And that's where we see the campaign really going beyond the surface level. It's one thing to talk about healthy choices,
Right.
but it's a whole different ballgame when you're facing the daily stress of not knowing where you're going to sleep.
It makes their message so much more powerful, knowing they're acknowledging those real-life challenges.
Yeah.
It's not just about pointing fingers, it's about understanding the bigger picture.
Yeah.
So how does Lakeisha Suwunmi's work fit into all of this? What is she doing to bridge that gap?
So Imi's work is all about showing how interconnected these issues truly are.
Okay.
She provides families with resources and support,
Okay.
but she also empowers them to make healthier choices within their circumstances. It's not about telling someone to just buy healthier food when they're struggling to put any food on the table at all.
Right. That makes sense. What kind of things does she focus on with those families?
One of her key strategies is addressing food insecurity in a way that also promotes healthy habits.
Okay.
For example, she might work with a local food bank to ensure they have fresh produce available, or she might teach families how to cook nutritious meals on a tight budget.
It's incredible to think that even in those difficult situations, there's still room for making healthier choices. It's about finding ways to make it work, no matter the circumstances.
Exactly. It's about those small victories, those
Hmm.
gradual shifts that can make a big difference over time. And that's what makes this campaign so inspiring. It's not just about telling people what to do, it's about equipping them with the knowledge and the support to make those changes for themselves and their families.
Okay, so we've got the why, the health risks, and that community impact.
Yeah.
But what about solutions? What does this not-so-sweet side campaign actually want people to do about all of this? Feels like more than just drink less soda at this point.
It definitely goes deeper. The campaign provides a blueprint for change on multiple levels,
Okay.
which is what makes it so effective.
Okay.
They really highlight the power of becoming informed consumers.
Okay.
Remember those label reading tips we discussed earlier?
Uh-huh.
They want people to walk into a store, pick up a drink, and truly understand what they're putting into their bodies.
I like becoming those sugar detectives. I admit that part really resonated with me. I'm definitely guilty of grabbing my usuals without thinking too much about it.
I think that's a common experience.
Yeah.
We get into our routines,
We do.
but just having that awareness can make a world of difference. And then
Wow.
beyond those individual choices, the campaign also emphasizes community-based solutions.
Okay, I'm really intrigued by this.
Mm.
What does that look like in action? What are they suggesting people do?
Well, they talk about the importance of open conversations with friends and family about healthy alternatives.
Okay.
It could be as simple as suggesting water instead of soda at a family gathering or sharing a recipe for a delicious low-sugar drink.
I love that. It takes the pressure off individuals and creates that sense of collective change, right?
Exactly. And it can be even more impactful to advocate for those healthier options in our communities, like in schools or workplaces. Imagine if we all started asking for more water stations, healthier vending machine options, or just more awareness about sugary drinks.
So we're talking individual action, community engagement, and even those systemic changes. That's a pretty ambitious scope. Do they offer any specific resources to get people started, like where to find those recipes or how to advocate for change?
They do. The article mentions that the campaign has a fantastic website filled with helpful information, including those recipes for healthier drinks.
It's great that they're not just talking the talk, but they're actually providing those practical resources to help people make changes. I know I'm heading over to check out those recipes as soon as we're done.
That's it.
You know, it's interesting. We started with sugary drinks, and now we're talking about food banks, community organizing, and systemic change. It really highlights how much our health is intertwined with these larger social issues, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. And that's what makes this campaign so much more than just a drink water message.
Right.
They're acknowledging that for many people, it's not that simple. There are barriers in place, and this campaign addresses those barriers on multiple levels.
It's like they're weaving a safety net, not just handing out a pamphlet.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think that's what makes a real difference, meeting people where they are and giving them the tools and support to make those positive changes in their lives.
Precisely. This campaign isn't about guilt or judgment, it's about empowerment. It's about giving people the information they need to make informed choices for themselves and their families.
It's really about creating a world where everyone have the opportunity for a healthy life, regardless of their circumstances.
All right.
I love that. This deep dive has been incredibly eye-opening. I feel like I've gained a whole new understanding of the ripple effects of something as seemingly simple as sugary drinks.
And that's what we're hoping for, those aha moments that make you see things from a new perspective. It's not just about what we consume, it's about understanding the systems, the influences, and the choices we can make to create a healthier future for everyone.
Well, I'd say mission accomplished. We started with sugary drinks and ended up exploring everything from label literacy to housing insecurity, all thanks to this not-so-sweet side campaign. What a journey.
And remember, this is just the beginning. This campaign provides a fantastic framework, but the real work happens when we each take these insights and apply them to our own lives and communities.
So for our listeners who are feeling fired up and ready to make a difference, what would you say is the most important takeaway from this deep dive?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, I'd say it's about recognizing that our health is interconnected. It's not just about individual choices, it's about creating a world where everyone has the opportunity to thrive. And that starts with being informed, engaged, and willing to make those small changes that can have a big impact. What if you looked at every beverage choice as an opportunity to invest in your health and the health of your community? food for thought.